Moving forward, everyone, we're on to our last session, very last session, with the last topic, which is sustainability and social impact for small businesses during difficult times. To discuss about this topic, we have Dina Yahya, Head of Brunei Climate Change Secretariat, Vanessa Teo, CEO and co-founder from Agrom IQ International, and Jeff Ong, permaculture designer, Living Earth. This session will be moderated by our program co-curator, Sean Hun. Once again, just to remind everyone again, you might be tired of this, but please do fill in the answer from the poll questions, okay? We will get a total percentage of results, and the results will pop up on your screen after 15 minutes. As you can see on the screen, when a poll is launched, you may click the button as shown, and a pop-up poll will appear for you to fill in. If it did not pop up, you can go to the bottom of the screen and click on the poll, okay? All right, so before we start the session, Sean will immediately take the floor after we watch this short clip.
Hey, good afternoon, Aimune. Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, we spent a long time to prepare this, and it's come to the very end of the show. I can't believe it. You know, I was telling Rofini, the previous moderator in the last session on business nuts and bolts, that their session is the least sexy, but the most important. You know, when Zulfarik said that cut costs, but don't stop giving. You know, I was thinking that how do you do both? So nonetheless, welcome to the final session. The title of this session is called Sustainability and Social Impact. With us, we have three panelists. We have Ms. Dina Yahya, we have Dr. Vanessa, and Jeff Ong. We would start off by inviting each of them to give a 1-minute introduction on who they are and what are the main messages that they hope to bring to the table for the next hour. You know, I'd like to first start with gentlemen. Jeff, first of all, before you introduce who you are, tell us what is permaculture?
Right. Permaculture is basically a design science based on observation. So you're looking at your environment, and based on that, you design your farm or your land just by looking at the sun, the lay of the land, where the water is. That's in a nutshell what permaculture is.
Jeff Ong, the scientist.
Yeah.
you have 30 more seconds, sir.
All right. Okay. So I've been designing land and the way we grow things here in Brunei for a good 9 years now. So I've tried to do as many things, grow as many crops in a natural way in Brunei for 9 years now. So I've researched just using what we have to be able to grow organically. And I've been looking at the market, how to tap into the market and how to teach other farmers and students to whom want to grow organically as well. So my line is that in general, how to grow in Brunei.
And that's 1 minute, Jeff. We'll next like to call on Dina. Dina, who are you and what message do you have for us?
Hi, Sean. Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting me today. So my name is Dina. I'm the head of the Brunei Climate Change Secretariat. So we are Secretariat to Brunei National Council on Climate Change. So it's a council because climate change cuts across different sectors. So we really need a whole of nation approach when dealing with climate change. So the Secretariat is the government agency that coordinates. We also plan and we also implement all the climate action policies with 4 ministries. So we have 4 ministries championing this. So we're sort of in the middle. So hopefully through our work, we aim to transition Brunei into a low carbon economy, as well as to ensure that we are prepared in facing all the climate impacts that are coming our way. Yeah.
Wonderful. And to my neighbor, Dr. Vanessa Teo, are you at home?
Yes, I'm at home actually. Yeah.
Okay, we'll continue this conversation as I hop over afterward. But over the virtual space, who are you and what are you here to share with us, please?
So good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, my name is Dr. Vanessa Teo. I'm the founder and CEO of Agro. So I guess for Agro, we've really evolved as a company. We're a company that does training and certification for smallholder farmers endorsed by Department of Agriculture. What we do is we try to help improve the quality of farms. And at the same time, due to the COVID pandemic, we've launched our online marketplace where we connect produce and grocery items to households, and now connecting it to businesses such as catering services, restaurants, and other retailers to basically develop a supply and distribution network. So yeah, that's my roundup.
Wonderful. So you're in the business of connecting people, Dr. Vanessa Teo.
I would say so, yeah.
So we have 2 scientists. Well, and as a matter of fact, I think I'm speaking to all scientists this afternoon. I will be the least qualified when it comes to science. Just ask my teacher. So all 3 of you would have a lot to teach me. Now, this afternoon's session, we don't have anyone who works in the restaurant. And we don't have any chef, but it is an F&B forum, right? And you know, I was quite mindful just now as we started to look at the number of participants who are in the room. And my goal is currently is 96 people. Hopefully by the end of the conversation, we still have as many people as possible. You know, the very last session, sometimes it's hard to hold attention. And when we are having, you know, non-industry people talking about their industry, good luck, guys. I need your help. You know, in the poll, you know, I have stated some very, very important questions, and I hope that everyone would help me here to make this conversation as interactive as possible. For example, right, my first question on the poll to ask all 90 people, all 100 people in the room is, I believe that business should be concerned about social impact and environment. You know, is that right? Yeah, should business be concerned about it? You see, the reason why I'm so worried about you guys leaving is because, you know, at this point in time, everyone is worried about their bottom line. And the last thing that you're thinking about is saving the planet, saving the world. And why are we having this conversation, right? Okay, that as a backdrop, right? In the chat room, Muzia asked just now in the previous session, she asked, so does that mean that Brunei is not self-sufficient in chicken supply? I would like to start off our conversation on chicken supply, if I may, right? You know, my first question really circled around the topic of food security. We know that the food prices have been on the rise due to global inflation and due to the rise in logistical cost. Now, with majority of the food being imported into Brunei, you know, we are really at the mercy of the global trend, right? Now, the issue of food security, you know, like it or not, you know, needs to be addressed. And what better forum to be talking about than a national F&B forum? Now, my question is, you know, are we self-sufficient? Number one. Number two, you know, what solutions can Brunei's SME provide in helping, you know, this to solve this great puzzle of self-sufficiency when it comes to food security? I'd like to kick off the conversation, the very difficult question, starting with the doctor in the room. Dr. Vanessa Teo, how are we doing in terms of food security, and what solutions are there?
Right, yeah, you've definitely posed a very challenging question, but I'll try my best as much as possible to, maybe highlight some key factors about this challenge that we have right now. I think, especially in this context, F&B businesses, no business is an island. Everything is interacting and supply chains are all interacting, and businesses need to start thinking about, if I want to have profit, I need to have the access to the right kind of raw materials. The challenges that you see today, such as increasing in logistics costs and the lack of raw materials, this further just highlights what the country has been needing to do for the longest time, which is to increase food sufficiency, which is why there's so much initiatives from the government to try to promote more local farmers, supporting local produce, supporting local products, because we need that buffer. When the world is going basically in a frenzy right now because raw materials, climate change has made it so much more difficult for commercial farmers to grow. And that results in countries that are not having that strong purchasing power as well to access these raw materials. So this is a challenge that will continue to get more and more difficult. And to answer your question, food sufficiency, we don't have it. We definitely are making strides in industry to actually grow more and then support the industry. However, we still have a long way to go where we will not be feeling the pressure of limited raw materials. So I think when it comes to businesses, it's important to think about not just doing good, but why is doing good important? Making profits at all costs may be just a short-term view of how you run your business, but for the long game, if you continue with that mindset, there will not be a business landscape that will be thriving for you to actually be successful in. Because if everybody is suffering the same challenges, the transfer of costs will continue to happen, meaning that consumers will keep having to pay more, and then they'll be continuing to complain. And then at the same time, businesses will keep on struggling because their margins will just be deteriorating. So I think it's now it's no longer just about, oh, do I have to do good? But actually doing good, when you think about society, environment, and economics, it actually will make sense for your business if you take the time to really think about where your risk factors are and the challenges that you're facing as a business.
Wonderful. I mean, it's as I would expect, coming from you, it's very well articulated. But, the problem is if my business is suffering right now, choosing between saving the planet and saving my business, right? The answer would be quite simple. But I will not press on that. I'll come back to that question. But over to you, Jeff. What is your view on food security in Brunei? What are your solutions?
But before that, Sean, can I interrupt that we'll be releasing the result of the poll in 5 minutes, okay?
Right, guys, the poll questions are very, very important. You would know why once you read through the questions. It is important to set a backdrop and the momentum for this conversation. So please, do me a favor, go in and, click on the poll. Jeff, what is your thought on Brunei's food security? What solutions?
Yeah, so food security is a problem. It's not there. But it can be. Because one, Brunei is a small country, right? And if everybody bands together and grows something or helps someone grow something, it can be done. It's down to design. If you design the land properly, according to what we need, it can be done, and it can be done really fast. So my whole design is not just based on the design of a farm, is to design the entire country. So for example, what I mean is understand tropical climates. What can be grown in tropical climates? And then we totally focus on that. So that tropical climate, let's say, for example, fruit trees we grow on the outside, on the outskirts. There's loads of land to grow there. There's loads of parks that we can grow on as well. So that can help because fruit trees are the most advanced trees in the world. You know, they'll constantly give you fruit. And then closer to the city centers is your hydroponics unit or aquaponic unit. So it's less travel time. And if everything can be developed in Brunei, then it can be totally sustained. That's
but what is the business case for it? You know, it can be done. Is there money to be made?
Oh yeah, loads. Once you know how the system runs, the amount of input that you put in is minimal. Most in the beginning, but once it starts running, it's minimal. And also understand the crops. So for example, if you're going to be planting, say, a durian tree, I consider a durian tree a long-term cash crop. So while you're growing the durian tree, you need a medium-term cash crop and then a short-term cash crop. So you got to bundle all this together and then you can do it. You don't just plant durians and then just wait 10 years and just cross your fingers. No. You're supposed to constantly grow other crops while together with the durian tree while it's growing. Then you can get a good cash flow coming in.
It sounds very exciting. If it's so easy and so lucrative, why are there not, enough farmers in our local industry? Why are not many people doing that? Are you seeing a change in pattern?
Sorry?
Are you seeing a change in pattern, Jeff?
Not yet. Not yet. The thing is, this idea is it's a brand new idea. No one's thought of it before, not here. Or we thought about it, but we never really dived into it. So we don't have anyone truly researching this and looking into this properly. Because I always have these questions in my head going, look, if I'm going to be planting a banana tree, that's going to take about a year. What am I going to do for that time? Twiddle my fingers? No, I got to grow something to be able to cover my cash that I've invested in. So it can be done. So I look into it, and then to whomever comes and chats with me, I give them ideas, and then they can try it themselves.
Jeff Ong, please meet Dina Yaya from the government. I think the two of you need to talk. Before I move on to my next question, to talk about food waste and impact, starting with Dina Yaya, I want to go back to our conversation on food security. And I think it's extremely difficult to be talking about food security without knowing the background of where we are in terms of facts and figures of where Brunei stands. Yes, we all have a hunch that we don't have enough farms. We're importing most of the things. As a result, we are not self-sufficient. But what are the real numbers telling us? Hafizu, are you able to help with the slides, please? Okay, this is the number from the Department of Agriculture and Food. All right. If you look at this chart, broilers, we are. So this is a chart on our self-sufficiency on livestock. All right. Broilers, 98.92%. That means we don't need to import broilers. Eggs, 100%, right? Huaho, Sunli, so on and so forth. Ideal, they produce all the eggs that is enough for the local consumption. I'm not sure if we are exporting them. So if Norisma is still around, please let us know. Beef, that means buffalo and cattle, 61%. Goat, sheep, meat, 19%, meaning that, as a result of this 19%, majority of our goat and our sheep, comes from Australia. Day-old chicks, 90%. So likely we are not importing chicken. Fertilized egg, 50-50. Livestock feed, 39.96%. So if you add all this up and divide by 7, yeah, which are the different categories on the screen that you're seeing, our livestock self-sufficiency level is at 70%. What does that mean? Yeah, that means that for every 10 plates of livestock products that you have on your table, yeah, 3 plates of the meat come from overseas, 7 plates of the meat are produced locally. So if you were to ask me, I think that we are doing not bad at all with livestock. Could have been better, could have been to a stage that we are exporting, but I'm not complaining, right? Now, let's move forward to the next sector in terms of crops. Yeah, I would not go into individual numbers, but let's look at the big picture, right? Our crops self-sufficiency is at 37%. So with every 10 plates of veggie that you have on the table, 6.3 plates are coming from Thailand, Malaysia, China, so on and so forth. Now, if you were to ask me, I don't need to be a scientist to understand that we are in trouble if we are not able to import. And we are at the total mercy of shipping costs and the whatever price that is being determined overseas, right? That to me is a red flag, right? Now, next page, please. Now let's look at why are people or why are we not having enough people in the industry, right? Now, if you look at the mix, right? In Brunei, we have 450,000 people, 8,000 people are in the agriculture business, of which more than half, close to 60% of them are foreigners. Yeah, and only 42% are local. Jeff, is it an accurate depiction of the industry? Or is them, what does this chart tell you?
Yeah, it's more or less right.
Okay. And if you were to read the research paper, one of the key reasons for this really low number of local labor force is because young people are reluctant to get into the agriculture industry. So, with all this mix up, you're looking at a very lukewarm approach and attitude towards a very lucrative market that no one knows, right? So if you are if you're talking about business pivot, right, during this great time of uncertainty, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that there may be some good opportunities in your market. So with that said, my final slide, yeah, so a bit of good news in this finding. Between 2016 and 2020, actually, we have had 14% increase in our gross output level of crops and livestock. But if you look at the overall picture, 70% and 30, how many percent? 37%, it is not impressive, right? To me, as a business person, I would say there is a lot of people without shoes. Go and sell them the shoes. In this instance, go and sell them the farmland and become a farmer. Right now, that's my little rant about food security. Let's move on to the next topic, starting with Ms. Dina Yaya. How can businesses play their part in contributing to a more sustainable environment? Now, we know that our infrastructure for food waste is not is really at its infancy, right? What are the incentives for small businesses, for F&B operator, right, to do the right thing? Is there money to do the right thing?
Thank you very much, Sean. For that. So, for us, our efforts to contribution to the local economy, we realize that businesses play a very important role So we see businesses as an enabler. So, I mean, going back to our journey back in 2020, in July, when we launched the National Climate Change Policy, we outlined, 10 key strategies. Then we realized that it's very important that government starts first before we, before we ask the private sectors or the public to go for climate action. It's very important that the government lead by example. So subsequently, we Protocol Hijau. So Protocol Hijau is 1 year old now. So we launched it last year in January. So Protocol Hijau is really a guideline for the government sector to practice green, basically to implement green practices within the organization. So we looked at how the government sector can reduce water usage, paper usage, plastic, solid waste disposal, how we manage our official events. As you know, government, we hold and organize big scale events that produces a lot of waste, and as well as how we manage our projects. So, as you know, that government as well, we cut a lot of trees when we build buildings. So we need to make sure that we are responsible. So we would plant back the trees that we cut. So while we implement Protocol Hijau after 1 year now, we see a lot of changes in the government sector itself. So one of the important elements in the Protocol Hijau is to make government building and premises a plastic-free zone premise. So you're not allowed to serve plastic bottles. So we could see the changes over the year. So we no longer see plastic bottles being served. But what we noticed is that, and after 1 year of implementing Protocol Hijau, our F&B, our catering services, they're not ready. So, we do not see plastic bottles on the table, but in the pantry is just plastic bottles in the dispenser. So that defeats the whole purpose. So we see that, okay, there's a real problem now. It's just that we need the whole ecosystem to be on board. Because we don't want to be short sendiri, right? So we have to make sure that our catering, our canteen services are all ready to be part of this. So we initiated a discussion with a number of catering services, the ones that usually serve the government sector, and we socialized the idea of a Protocol Hijau certified catering services, and from that consultation session, so we recognized that there were a lot of concerns on cost. For instance, if they have to go for biodegradable plastics, for instance, or if they have to go for water dispensers, then it would incur more costs for them, would make them less competitive. So we realized that challenge. So from there, now we are going to launch a Protocol Hijau F&B guideline. So basically, any catering services or canteen services within the government sector, they need to be Protocol Hijau certified. Protocol Hijau certified here meaning that so we look at how they prepare their food, how they serve their food, how they dispose their food waste, even how they package the food. So we look at how green can they actually be in terms of providing the services, and so the idea is to make it mandatory at once our catering services and canteen services are ready. But for now, we do acknowledge that we need to give time for our F&B sector to be ready, to be on board on this journey. So, but then once we launch this, so the catering services with Protocol Hijau certified would be prioritized in terms of when they want to serve the government sector for catering services, for instance, or they want to have to open up a canteen in government buildings. So this will be this will be key component when we consider having their services within the campus. So this is the idea that we are coming up with to ensure that there's level playing field. I think that's very important to give that comfort for our F&B services, that okay, there's level playing field here. So perhaps would address their concern in terms of cost. And I think this is also an important signal, for the private sectors as well to follow suit. because this is what the government is initiating. But once we have this, and it will push our F&B industry or sector to be more creative in terms of providing green services. Because right now, I don't think there's option for, you know, when you want to hold, for instance, a catering, I don't know, Hari Raya catering at home. It would be good to have, you know, options for green catering, for instance. So hopefully from this initiative, it will push our F&B sectors to be more and more creative, to be more green. So really, we are providing this platform, and hopefully we'll be able to extend it beyond government. Yeah, so this is a start. And yeah, so we're just hoping that it will expand to the other sectors after this. Yeah.
Well, this is, Dina, you can, you know, as an entrepreneur, you can look at the Protocol Hijau F&B guideline as a plus or a minus, right? But if you're really entrepreneurial, you'll be thinking that, hey, if I am able to adapt to serve the government by being a Protocol Hijau certified vendor, no other people are doing that. It may be a business opportunity for me. Yeah. So my next question is, you know, what does it take in order for me to do your business, to be qualified as a Protocol Hijau?
Okay. Yeah. So so for a catering services, for instance, yeah, to be Protocol Hijau, so the things that we take into consideration is, okay, how do you prepare for your food? Of course, there will be pointers, you know, if you source your food locally. And because, you know, if you source your food locally, so that would mean that.
So buy from Jeff Ong.
Buy from Jeff Ong or Vanessa. Go to Vanessa. and at the same time, we're promoting our local products. Yeah. Water. So we don't like water bottles, plastic. Yeah, because I think I want to also take this opportunity to share this information that plastic is causing a lot of problem to us, especially in our landfill. So our landfill is, you know, we don't have the facility to recycle plastic bottles now in Brunei. So it's just sitting in our landfill, and our landfill is piling up, and it's filling up in the next 10 years. So, you know, after 10 years, well, you don't want, you know, what the plastic waste to be in your backyard, right? So this is a real issue. So as much as possible, we try to reduce creating waste, generating waste, especially plastic waste. So that's a huge component in Protocol Hijau, you know, how our catering services can avoid using plastics altogether, or if they have to, perhaps considering other alternatives, you know, paper-based packaging, for instance, or biodegradable plastics. There are options out there. So how they dispose their food waste. So there's a element in there that encourages them to send their food waste for composting or to composting companies. I know Dr. Vanessa is setting up, so that's a promotion for her. Yeah. So, and also cooking oil. So I think cooking oil as well. So there's not much awareness on how waste cooking oil is being managed. And we have facilities in Brunei that actually take in cooking oil for recycling. So that would be a pointer as well. And yeah, so that's pretty much what we are looking for in a green catering services.
So as I say, you know, you can see it half full or half empty. Yeah, half empty meaning that, hey, it is more difficult to make money off the government if you are in catering and if you are in F&B. Half full meaning that, hey, you know, a lot of people would think that it's too difficult. Let me go there, you know, and there is a good business commercial angle for us to look at, right? I want to shift my focus back to Dr. Vanessa Teo. How can small businesses do the right thing in, you know, in managing their food waste? Over to you, Vanessa.
I guess you know, to link kind of back to the question in the first question about, you know, about doing good even in challenging times, and at the end of the day, business only care like to survive, right? So I'll give you an example of what exactly happened to Agrom as well. In the first phase of the COVID outbreak, we were forced to also consider, should we stay open or do we have to close? And that was a serious decision that had to be made by the management, because if during COVID we couldn't do any more trainings. All group activities was done, and at the same time, farm management software was our key forte at that time, and then developers at the same time was also very hard to find. So I guess it forced me to kind of step back and think about, if the core of my business was to still do good in terms of our ethos and our beliefs, how does the mechanism change for the business? So I think it's not really just about doing good for the sake of doing good in terms of a good marketing plan, but it's really about the DNA of your own business and who are you actually trying to help? Is it your core business? So then we thought about, well, there are farmers in Brunei that were struggling to sell. We could develop a platform quite quickly because of the resources we already had. So what we did within 2 weeks, onboarded all the farmers that we were already working with, and then set them on the platform. And our company basically became a logistics company overnight. And all my team members started becoming drivers and delivery people. So I think it's about sometimes like looking at what you have and then looking at the challenge like straight on and thinking about what resources do I have to actually make this change instead of just closing the doors. And through that, we were able to open our retail store in Agro Market, supported by DARE. And at the same time, that retail store allowed us to learn so many things. And one of the biggest things I think for me was that although, when we do deliveries, it was pickups, package, and then send it to the customers. But if you have a retail store, a lot of it don't get sold in terms of the fresh produce because customers do have very high standards. So when they see a quality of a produce not great, they will not buy it. And at the same time, they're comparing your prices to other supermarkets as well. So, as we were trying to help farmers grow and trying to improve their quality, we were throwing away about 20-30% of our inventory. And then looking at other supermarkets that we were supplying, they were also throwing out a lot of good produce. So I was thinking that, instead of contributing to the problem even more, which is food waste, which actually accounts for 37% of waste entering landfills, I couldn't basically go on. So I think we were on a journey about 1.5 years now of actually going into minimizing food waste. We're setting up another division of the business where we'll be collecting food waste from companies and then converting them into organic fertilizer. This organic fertilizer will be distributed to the smallholder farmers that will be able to grow organic products and then serve the wider community when it comes to better organic produce, which right now is very expensive. So I think, that lesson for me was a big wake-up call. But at the same time, sometimes when it comes to really challenging moments, businesses, I would say small businesses, never really take the time to step back, because there's so many daily grinds, so much stress that you're dealing with as a business, but you never really step back and look like, is this really the business that I want to grow? Is this the direction I want to go? But with a big challenging thing that actually disrupts everything, then you start assessing and you go, maybe this is a chance for me to start fresh, or maybe it's start thinking of new ways. So I think that's what you said about being entrepreneurial. And I think the last session with Farik, about change is the only constant for businesses. Even when you're doing good, you're still thinking about, oh, who's my competitor at the back that's trying to chase me? Because you're still trying to be better. But even when it's difficult, you're also trying to think about, how do I survive? So I think the only thing is constantly being on your feet and trying to think of new ways to do things.
Wow. Vanessa, how can, two questions. Number one is, when can the Brunei F&B industry benefit from your service in food waste recycling, and how can they, find out more about you?
So basically in Q2, hopefully we'll be launching our facility. And then it'll be, right now we're already trying to find businesses or restaurants that would like to be part of this food waste initiative. So I've also shared a Google form that basically any business, it could be F&B, it could be supermarkets, hotels, that would like to think of, instead of throwing all your food waste, organic waste, it could be actually any kind of organic waste, even landscaping materials, like any cuttings or like any unused processed food that basically they can contribute, and then we'll be converting them into organic fertilizer to be distributed to the farms. So please fill in this form if you're interested to learn more about it. At the same time, so probably the Q2 will be launching the business. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. My colleagues will be putting that link on the chat box. I'm going to, invite special guests from CIC Environment, who is also in food waste management. But before I do that, Jeff, you got my attention just now. Cute cat and nice color. I want to link it back to what Vanessa was saying about the local produce, right? She said that, the Brunei people understand quality, and she's throwing away 37% of her produce. And one of the reasons why, Bruneian, choose overseas produce over Brunei is probably cost and the presentation as well. Tell me, Jeff, are the Brunei's fruits and vegetable competitive in price versus, all the, even if it's being jacked up and imported with all the logistical costs? Are we still more expensive, or are we a better, more economical choice? I'm asking on behalf of all the F&B owners.
Well, if you're going to say local produce, I think local produce, depending, sometimes it's more expensive because we're not going by quantity, not really. And we struggle with growing in tropical climates. So it's how do I put it? It is expensive because of the fertilizers used here. And the amount that we grow isn't enough, but that's only because we don't have enough knowledge. So you put it in this sense that if we change our entire concept of how to grow, don't fully rely on techniques around the world. We need to customize our own techniques. We need to find out how to grow in our own environment. We keep following agricultural practices around the world where we shouldn't. We need to rethink how we grow things in order to cater for the F&B. And then the way we do it is that the F&B needs to talk to us. They need to talk to us, the farmers. What is it that you need? What is it that you need to grow? How much do you need? And all this. And then once we get that data, then we can grow it out for them. We don't want, because imagine this, if a chef comes up to me and says, look, Jeff, I need 10 kg of curly kale a month. All right, 100% guaranteed. If you can supply me 10 kg of curly kale a month, that's our deal. Then I will do everything I can to grow 20 kgs of kale.
So chicken and egg demand-based supply.
Yes, we need to know, because for let's say for a farmer to grow crops, I grow a pak choy. Okay, I'll give you an example. I grow a pak choy like this.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful, but if I go to the market with this, no one buys it. It goes to waste. Grow this again if no one buys this. You see what I mean? But if someone goes to me going, hey, I like your pak choy, I want 10 kg of it no matter what, then I'll go, okay, I'm going to grow 15 kg just in case. Then that creates a good relationship with the F&B business and then the farmers, and we can collaborate. F&B is not talking to farmers. That's
Jeff, we have 70 people still in the room.
No, right.
Some of them are Coffee Bean, Park Food, RBC, you name it, all right? Guys, Jeff, can you put up your phone number in the chat box, please?
Oh, right. Oh, okay, let me figure it out.
My colleagues at CIC, I would like to invite you to the floor to answer, all of us in the F&B industry this question. How can we do the right thing by partnering with you? We have Andrew, and who else is there? Let's give. I am mindful that it's 5:20. That means that I have 10 minutes left, but I'm not too concerned simply because we don't have any session after this. All right. I'll give 5 minutes to our colleagues at CIC, and then we'll circle back to our final questions, and then we will wrap up for the day. For those people who want to leave at 5:30, you may be missing out a lot of business opportunities as we talk about environment and sustainability. So, at your own risk, leave at 5:30. For those people who want to earn more money, stay on, all right? My dear colleagues at CIC, who would like to answer me the question? Is it Amania or Andrew? Hello, can you unmute yourself, Andrew? Okay, let me repeat my question. Yeah, what can the F&B players do to do the right things in recycling their waste through what can they do through CIC environment? What service can you all provide?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, Sean. Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, Andrew, good afternoon.
Hi. Nin, do you want to take the question first? Well, I think you're muted now for now.
Yeah, you're on mute.
I think it's the earpiece. Perhaps she can take off the earpiece and talk using the laptop speaker.
Perhaps I'll start first, Sean.
Andrew.
While Nin. So yeah, thank you, Sean, for the invitation. For CIC, obviously one of them would be waste oil. But there are several considerations that plays an important role for the proper disposal of cooking oil. First will be regulation, policy, and guidelines. In other countries, there are strict regulations on how public, private sectors, and house owners should dispose of their cooking oil. But based on our industrial observation, it is something perhaps which is still in its early phases in Brunei. Second would be the culture and awareness of proper disposal of cooking oil. Although enforcement is required, continuous awareness and culture shift is also crucial to stop people from disposing their cooking oil irresponsibly. For example, if a resident would throw their cooking oil into his or her residence drainage, where will we go to? It would eventually flow into the sewage facility, and due to the property of the cooking oil, it could easily clog the sewage piping, and unfortunately, specialized cleaning such as pigging would be required to remove such clogging, and this would potentially cause a lot to the relevant authorities which handles those facilities. Third would be, CIC's intel mainly comprises of upstreams and downstream oil and gas industries, as well as non-oil and gas players, such as automobile workshops, which we do regular collections once a week. Cooking oil process is actually an interesting topic to explore. The likes of reprocessing cooking oil into biofuel, animal feedstock, leather preservations, just to name a few. The topic
Andrew, Andrew, what we are most interested in the F&B sector, if you look at the poll answer, let's look at question number 3. Yeah, I believe that doing good. No, not that one. Let me see. Okay, question number 5. Given if it doesn't add to my cost, I am happy to support the reduction of plastic waste, or I'm happy to do the right thing. In essence, that's what it says, right? Let's say if I'm B-Smile Jason right now, and I want to do the right thing, but I cannot afford to. Can we afford your service? how much, for an average restaurant owner,
Yep.
of one shop, I don't know how many. Jason, how many oil do you have to pour out on a weekly basis? How many liters of oil?
One day, I think have 10 liter of oil.
To pour out, to throw, to dispose.
So normally we put in the tin, we put outside of our restaurant. Then evening got somebody come to pick up, but we don't know who lah.
Right. Does it cost you money?
No. Got somebody
Right.
come,
That's interesting.
got somebody come to take it lah.
But do you know where does the oil go to? Is it going to harm the environment, or is it going to being recycled? Any idea?
This one I really no idea, because maybe got somebody come to pick up the oil lah, but I don't know who are them lah, because it's evening time lah. So we know they always come to pick evening, so we just put the cooking oil, after cook the cooking oil we put outside our restaurant. Then evening time they will automatic come to take it lah, just like that only.
Right. If my stats is correct, right, there are 10,000 F&B operators in Brunei, and I would think that Jason would speak for at least half of the F&B operator who say that I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting the cooking oil outside. I have no idea where it goes, right? Andrew, so all of a sudden, when Jason wakes up to his conscience and say, hey, I want to do the right thing, and they call up CIC, what's the next step, and how much is it going to cost them?
Obviously, we do have received a number of actually public inquiries actually for the past few months. Even during the COVID waves, we have received a few house owners that wants to dispose of their own cooking oil. The cost will be quite minimal, because as part of our CSR, for example, to the relevant workshops, obviously we cannot charge them arm and legs like how we charge other people, because it is part of our CSR. But it is important to note, Sean, actually, that although it seems like cooking oil, the treatment of cooking oil is straightforward, but in actual fact, it is a bit specialized in the sense. It's not something common that we do very often, because obviously our waste is majority from the oil and gas industry. So if there's a large volume, it actually requires a more unique and specialized treatment. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Amanina, is your mic okay?
Hello, can you hear me?
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry, because we are eating into the time of the panelists, as well as we are hitting 5:30. I'm giving you 2 minutes on sorry on your thoughts on introduction to what the F&B business can do to engage your service. And good on you, CIC, for making it a CSR initiative. To heavily subsidize the cost to help the environment and to help the F&B industry. So, Amanina, how can we get your help in the F&B industry?
Yeah, so I'm Amanina. I work at CSC Environmental Services, and as Andrew mentioned, CSC is a waste management company that's had 20 years of experience in waste management. And most recently, we have expanded into organic waste management. And we've been in operation for the past 9 months, where we successfully divert around 60 tons of organic waste away from the landfill every single week. So our current focus, So our current focus in our first year of operations is mainly in processing manure from agriculture industries. And this facility creates kind of a circular ecosystem within the agriculture industry, where manure from livestock industry, so poultry manure, is processed through composting, and then the final product, compost, is then sold to farmers to help restore their soils, and also to the public. Food waste from F&B is definitely a possibility that CIC is looking into. However, tackling food waste requires, as Dina mentioned, a whole nation approach. The challenge with food waste as opposed to manure is that it requires significant increase in public awareness about the waste that people produce. So things like segregation at source, as well as like the logistical challenges from the waste generator end becomes really crucial success factors for this type of waste management. So for food waste management, the key really lies within the waste generators and the awareness amongst them.
So are you receiving orders from the public for the
For
lack
our
of
compost,
yeah. So let's say right now Jason want to solicit your help to do the right thing. Can Jason call you?
sorry, I missed who, I don't know who
So
Jason
no, my
is.
question is, can anyone call you to dispose their oil? If a small business, a small F&B outlet right now wake up and say, hey, I want to be environmentally conscious and do the right thing, can they do so?
For the waste oil, you'll have to contact Andrew and sales.
Yeah.
For compost, you can contact our Instagram or our phone number that we can send in the chat. And
Wonderful.
I mean, yeah, compost is a great way of restoring soils and becoming more environmentally friendly in your farming practice and kind of using organic fertilizer versus chemical fertilizer.
Jeff would be calling you after this. Andrew, can you put your phone number or your CIC's contact detail? Sorry,
Sure.
I wish to talk longer, but we're running out of time. I want to spend the final minutes, going back to Miss Dina Yaya, on a very, very important issue. We know that globally, because of COVID-19, the plastic waste from tapao food has gone skyrocket. I don't know, and I'm unable to find the correct statistic for Brunei. But I know that, just by simply looking at my own rubbish bin, it doesn't paint a good picture. As I go around to Kampong Ayer and anywhere else, I will see face masks everywhere on the street. Now, in a previous conference that we spoke, you mentioned about this being the battle of the mind instead of the battle of the physical battle against people doing the wrong thing. So what are the solutions that you can propose to the increase in tapao plastic waste? Dina.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. So we don't have much time, so I'll try to be brief. So I think it makes sense that during the pandemic, for the F&B industry, it's hygiene versus sustainability. So it would be very tempting for our F&B sector to commit environment a bit less. But I think we must not lose sight on what's more permanent. After COVID is over, then we're left with more permanent problems. We have to deal with, like you said, all these plastic-based masks, sanitizers. It will just be piling up in our landfill. So during the pandemic, what was observed by our colleagues at the Department of Environment is that our waste generation has increased. So usually we go for an average Bruneian, we're looking at about 1 kilo of waste generated per person per day. But during the third wave, it was about 1.2. So I'm pretty sure that our mask, our sanitizers, and all this plastic waste that's been generated from COVID-related issue. So I guess for businesses, especially for F&B, so this is a sensitive area, where we have to make sure that we try our best not to put hygiene as the key priority. But I believe that there's even small changes, so we don't undermine small changes, because any changes would still be important. So whenever there's possibilities, then companies, not just the F&B companies, should find options, should find greener options. For in the case of F&B sector, try to use as much as possible biodegradable or paper-based. But I looked at one of the comments earlier in the chat that our local retailers are running out of stock of. So that's a good sign. There's market force and there's demand. See, once that the ball is rolling, then we can see that there's actually demand for paper-based containers or biodegradable containers. So I think this is also a business opportunities for small businesses, new businesses to provide all this containers, packaging for food, which are more sustainable. So yeah, I guess we should not be short-sighted, because after the pandemic, we will be left with more permanent problem, and it will go back to us. It doesn't mean that if you generate the waste, then it will be just a problem. For instance, it's waste management. No, because it's ecosystem is a whole cycle. It's about balance. So ultimately, it will go back to us. I think it's very important to put that in mind, and building back greener from this whole pandemic is also very important, because it will make our F&B industry more resilient. And I think it's also very important to point out that now we are dealing with the Gen Z, the generation that, and they're more conscious on environment. So this is the market that they should be aiming for. More and more the public is aware, and they want, and they actually demand for greener choices to be available. I think this is something that our F&B sector can put in mind. And the linear model is losing its relevance. So it's very important that businesses start to see how they can be green, not just providing services or goods, green goods and services, but themselves, an institution, how they can be green. Yeah.
So the young people are voting with their wallet.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, because like just a few days ago, my son told me that, oh, I want to buy EV. I have never, I've never talked. So I was like, what? Like, why? Where did you hear it from? He said, oh, I heard it from Peppa Pig. So that is true. I actually heard it from Peppa Pig, about EV. I said, wow, you don't have to buy that. Our children, they're more and more aware, and there will be demand for greener choices. So it's important that our F&B sector try to keep themselves relevant, and try to leverage on what is actually the market out there. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks, Dina. Dr. Vanessa Teo, any solutions that you have for helping SME do the right thing in the plastic waste area?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think to share as well, that's also a challenge that we face as a retail store. So sometimes it's a decision between keeping things hygienic, keeping things last longer, and at the same time, understanding your operational process. Like, do you actually need that packaging, or is it because it's always the way that it's been done? So you're comfortable with this process. So sometimes it takes about understanding your whole operation as a business and looking at ways that you can minimize. I believe that every effort is important, not how big or how small. And although I know sometimes even for F&B businesses, it seems overwhelming to think about, oh, I have to change all of this, but there really isn't necessarily a set time frame that you have to achieve it. So even if you gave yourself like a target of for the next 1 year, I want to minimize this amount of wastage, or things like that. I do believe, like, in the long run, these efforts do accumulate, and it will help to improve our business landscape and the environment protection as well. And I think with the food waste factor, I guess, tapao, it's a very cultural thing. So, knowing that there's access of food everywhere, you want to tapao. But then usually it just goes back into the fridge and is barely eaten, or you forgot about it and you throw it out anyway. So I think it's also about, trying to minimize the plastic, but then what is the plastic really used for in the first place? That's why a conscious mind has to be present to ensure the decision making is at least some thought into it, and thinking about comfort levels and maybe just a new way of trying things.
So take a step back, ask questions before you make any decision, being a business operator or being a consumer. Do that thing. I think you will be able to help save the environment? Jeff, I'm not going to ask you that question. I know that you are anti-vaxxer in terms of plastic. Just kidding. Jeff, my final question to you is quite simple. How can the F&B business, come together to work out a plan with local farmers so that it can be a win-win situation? The price is not going to go up. This is a half an hour question in 30 seconds.
We just need a platform to talk. All right, we just need something to talk. Let's say within the business, within the F&B business, we're not asked, as a farmer, we're not asking you to change your entire menu. We're not. We just need, let's say, for example, I can grow eggplant really well. Can you incorporate that eggplant into your menu? If you can, my eggplant is free-flowing. Something along those lines. We need to talk. The chef and the farmers need to talk, because there's no communication at all. No one is connecting us together. So that is my main takeaway. We need to talk. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, right.
Welcome to BIBD's SME360 forum on F&B. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Jeff Ong, who represents all our farmers in Brunei. Let's talk to Jeff Ong. I hope that you all have his number. You've put on your number in the chat room, yeah?
I will now.
Right. Okay. Now, I want to end this conversation not by inviting each of the speakers to give the final remark, but by going to the poll and read something really encouraging to everyone. Right? The first question we had on the poll is this: I believe that business should be concerned about social impact and environment. 98% of the people in the room do not need convincing. They are on board, Dina, Yaya, that they are all wanting to do the same thing. That is highly, highly encouraging. And only 2%. I mean, in all, sorry, I think I've lost myself, right? I was thinking that the number would be the other way around. Everyone is feeling the pinch right now. Yeah. In any normal conversation, it would be 98% talking about, hey, let's save my business, forget about the environment. But this is music to everyone's ear. Bruneian F&B industry understand the importance of saving the environment. We have, 46 people, 45 out of 46 people who say that, right? Now, second question. My priority on environmental sustainability is currently high, 35%, remarkable, medium, 54%, low, 11%. Again, I was thinking the answer would have been inverse. Dr. Vanessa, Dina, are you surprised by the stats? Are you going to cry, Dina?
Well, look at the stats.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's encouraging until I go to number 5.
No, number 5 is realistic, and yet it is okay. Let's go through right one by one, and then we'll get to number 5. Number 3, I believe doing good is good for business in the long run. Everyone, 100%, right? We don't need convincing in this room. Everyone knows what to do, right? Next, I believe that I should take care of my business before I can take care of others. Makes sense, right? If my business is not here, I can't give what I don't have, right? 72%. It is, I think this is reasonable. And for those 28%, they are probably your colleagues, Dina.
No, I didn't invite.
Okay, next, right? Okay, let's deal with the elephant in the room, right? Given if it doesn't add to my cost, I am happy to support the reduction of plastic waste. Now, that means that, Dina, your department have a lot of work to do. They are all convinced if they are invincible hand helping to push this agenda, we all want to do the right thing. I mean, look at right now, Brunei is one of the first countries in Southeast Asia to have plastic bag free. I think that, you know, the battle of the mind has been won, right? And we just have to continue to press on, right? Number 6, my business had been involved in some level of community-related services during the time of pandemic. Amazing, 63%. You know, it goes to say, it echoes what Farid said, you know, cut costs, but don't stop giving. I mean, these are anonymous polls. They are not putting it to impress anyone. This is a reflection of facts. I think that we are ending the 2 days of FMB forum on a very, very high note. You know, with all this really, really significant number. I'm having goosebumps as I read it. Okay, final one. I believe that food security is an important issue to my business because it affects my supply chain as well as my food costs. Jeff, music to your ear. Everyone is singing the same song, right? You have a case for proposal. Now we need to talk, Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to, basically we need to think out the box. The time to think out the box is now. We cannot
96%.
Yeah.
96%. Now, okay, 30 seconds, each of you, any final words? Vanessa, lady first.
I think overall, I think this conversation definitely is really important. I mean, the fact that, you know, a lot, especially with the poll that you said, it's very encouraging to basically at least know that there really isn't much convincing. Everybody knows it's important. And I think everybody's still kind of scrambling to think about, you know, how does it really happen on a day-to-day for my business, things like that. But I think, like you said, it doesn't just take one business to do it. It takes like an ecosystem of service providers and consumers and the government coming in and, you know, the right set of mindset going into it. And people like Jeff, who is like at the ground level as well, and like supporting everybody about in F&B chain. So I think the ecosystem industry all have to work together and customize a solution that's unique to Brunei, and, you know, will voice out the concerns of the Bruneian businesses as well. So we can look towards other people outside, but I think we have to come up with our own customized solutions as well that will fit everybody's needs.
But we are off to a good start, and you are not alone, Vanessa.
Amazing.
Right. Dina.
Yeah, so very short for me. I think Vanessa has summed up a lot of key points. So for me, this journey is a whole of nation approach. I think I've said it in my last session that this whole thing is a marathon. It's not a sprint, so it takes time. But we need everybody to go on board. So we need the whole ecosystem to be there. And the time where we exclude nature is over. You know, we can no longer not incorporate nature into our business model. So that's very important for me to.
That's a quotable quote. The time we exclude nature is over. Wow. Dina, we are all ready and set as an F&B industry. You just have to say how high we will jump.
I'm looking forward to inviting everybody to our Protocol Hijau F&B launch.
Jeff, you're going to be a millionaire after today?
No. I don't want to be a millionaire.
What's your last word, bro?
My last word? Whatever you're doing, don't give up. You think it's hard, it's not hard. Just keep pushing. You think you're gonna fail, don't give up. Keep pushing. If you feel that you're gonna fail, get back up again. Keep going. Keep going. You believe in what you do, don't give up, no matter how hard it gets. That's my takeaway.
And if you think that is too difficult, just go try and do Jeff's job for a day.
No, mine's fun. Mine's super fun.
Right, Imuni, I'll give the floor back to you. Thank you very much. Guys, please fill in the feedback form. We need to hear from you. We need to improve, right? And in 2 weeks' time, if you have business in the retail industry, please come by. You know, we are having retail virtual forum, SME360. So guys, well done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sean and the speakers.